Hello. Testing. Okay. This will be a short video stream. I just want to talk about Path of Exile 2 real quick. I came back to Path of Exile 2 just to see it before the new whatever, Fate of the Vol comes out. And I had bought this when it originally released, and really didn't enjoy it. Like, I think a lot of people really didn't enjoy it when it first released. So I just took a break and was like, I'll come back to it when it cooks a little more. I know they've had a couple good patches between the launch and today, and I know that supposedly it's only going to get better when the Druid releases in the next update. But I kind of wanted to talk about my experience so far. I just hit level 30. I am not speedrunning this by any means. I am literally just going through, playing the campaign, and experiencing the content, looking for side quests, looking for side bosses, trying to understand all the different areas, what's in them, what areas worth staying in, what areas worth just blowing through in the future, because I don't really know the game that well. Like, I didn't stick around long enough to really like deep dive it and understand it and learn it the first time, because it just really wasn't enjoyable. Um, with that said, given what I've heard between the launch and today about the improvements they made to the game, I don't really feel them. The game still feels really bad, and I want to kind of talk about why I think that is, because I've listened to a lot of the PoE2 interviews with Zizarin and a couple different, like Talkative Try and some other people who have talked with the developers, and their vision, and specifically Jonathan's vision of what he wants this game to be. And I don't think it's meeting his vision. And what's funny is I actually think his vision would be interesting. And I kind of want more of his vision, but I don't think Path of Exile 2 is delivering on the vision. And I'm going to equate it to a game that no one's happy about right now, but it's the best example of what I think Jonathan wants his vision to be, and what is not being achieved in Path of Exile 2 currently. And this is going to be coming in from, not like from an endgame perspective. I'm not going to talk about how bad the endgame is, because I've honestly never even reached it. I've never enjoyed the game long enough to even get to endgame in the past, and I'm only level 30 right now. I'm about to beat Act 2. I'm on the last area, I think, before the final boss of Act 2. And then I have Act 3 and then the interludes and all that other stuff to kind of get through. Quick side note on my Path of Exile history. I played Path of Exile 1 when it originally was in beta, and then upon its release. And I played it up to about, I think, either when Act 5 or Act 6 released. And then I stopped. I hard stopped. The reason I hard stopped is I really, as a person, do not enjoy forced campaigns. I hate it. For whatever reason, when it comes to entertainment media, I only need to see it once, and I don't really need to see it again. Like, this goes with like movies, books, TV shows. I'm not one of those people who generally will rewatch something unless I really just get like a comfort feeling out of it. Like, for instance, I'll rewatch Ratatouille a million times because that's kind of like my comfort watch. It just is a great movie. It's very calming. I enjoy the premise of the movie. I can rewatch that endlessly. But most things I don't like to replay or rewatch or do twice, especially when it's story-based content, because I've either already played it or have already done it in the past. And the problem with Path of Exile 1 is the story is really not that interesting to me. It was never really that interesting. And a lot of the early acts in Path of Exile were with the limitations of them as a early studio. So there was a lot of barriers, invisible walls, very narrow linear maps and corridors, and that goes through like a lot of the early uh, act kind of mapping that you do through the story in Path of Exile 1, and it never got fixed. It never got readdressed as the game got into the future. So a lot of that early content is just really miserable to play. Like, I mean, really miserable for me to play. And when it's every single character, every single season, every alt character, anything that you do, and now today there's 10 acts, so it's even like it's 2 times worse than it was back when I quit. I walked away from the game, despite the game being extremely good, like really enjoying when you get out of the campaign and doing the mapping, the grinding, breaches, um, all that stuff from back in the day to like build your character up and gain power and come up with cool builds and all this stuff that happens within the end game. I really enjoyed in Path of Exile. I just couldn't bring myself to continue to play the campaign, despite how fast people can clear it. That's not the point to me. I don't want to spend 5 minutes doing it, let alone, people who are like, you can beat it in 5 hours. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do it at all. Like, I don't want to replay any of portion of a campaign that I've already beaten in the past. And I think and this is a personal gripe of mine, but one of the best things that Diablo 3 ever did was create adventure mode. Because it set a precedent for me for ARPGs going forward, in the sense of, hey man, we understand that the campaign's not for everybody. It's a linear story. The maps are generally defined by the story that it's trying to tell, which means that they're going to be very linear and very boring to replay. So beat it once, you unlock adventure mode, and then forever forward, you can just play the game however you want. All the maps are available to you, all the content's available to you. Just start playing the things you enjoy doing. If you enjoy mapping, start mapping. If you enjoy doing delve, start doing delve. If you enjoy doing incursions, just start doing incursions or expeditions or whatever you want to do, right? Like, wherever you want to spend, or in Diablo 3's case, if you want to do bounties, or if you want to do Nef rifts, or if you want to do massacre grinding when you start a season, just do whatever you want, right? Like, from the get-go, it's up to you on whatever difficulty you want to do it on. Just allows you that freedom to play the game how you want to play the game, or enjoy the game how you want to enjoy the game. And they carried that over to Diablo 4, and again, I think it's one of the best things that got carried over was, hey, we understand that the campaign is just story. Once you unlock it, all your waypoints are unlocked, all your renown is unlocked back when it was there, and you can just start playing the game however you want. Go do nightmare dungeons, go do hell, what were they called, hell rifts or whatever. Sorry, I haven't played Diablo 4 either in a long time, because again, that game just got so much worse with the expansion. But yeah, it's very straightforward in the sense of like, just go do the things you enjoy. And with Path of Exile, the forced campaign for me with no way to navigate out of it was something I just don't enjoy. And I know Path of Exile 2 is going to make me quit in the same way. No matter how good I think the end game could be in Path of Exile 1 or in Path of Exile 2, I don't want to play 6 acts just to get to the good stuff in any game. And I know that they're never going to waver on that. So I'm playing Path of Exile with the sense of like, while there's isn't that many acts of content, at least I can experience the game and see the enjoyable parts that they're aiming for with Path of Exile 2. And so far, where I think I'm failing to understand kind of the issues and limitations with Path of Exile 2 is Jonathan sat down and there was an interview, I forget who it was with, where he explained the vision. I think it was with the Zizzaran's interview, and he said, you should have enough currency to craft all the way through the campaign, to be doing something that has to do with currency and crafting and making your character stronger all the way through the campaign acts. And that engagement would set you up with the ability to come up with cool items or craft cool items as you're actually going through the campaign. And I'm not talking about like getting to end game, finding some leveling gear, going back with 100 currency from you grinding in the end game, and then using leveling gear to kind of craft or whatever as you're leveling through that process with your starter leveling gear. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about square one from scratch. You have no currency, no nothing. It's your first character of ever in Path of Exile 2, or in a season when it wipes. His vision is that you're constantly getting these currencies and you're constantly getting something to craft on or something to manipulate or expand upon. And I just don't think that exists. Like, so right now, just to show you kind of my character, my two-handed setup has this hammer that I've had since I was level, oh lord, maybe 8. And it's just been here because I literally don't have the crafting material to make a better hammer than this hammer. I don't have enough currency or resources to even expend on trying to make something better than this. And I've had this since I'm level 8. And again, I'm level 30. So 22 levels of the same weapon. Same here. I got really lucky and I got this mace when I think I was around level 10 when I got this mace, maybe even earlier than that. When it dropped, I don't even know if it says like item level 20, level 10. Yeah, so I got it around that level 10 mark. And I've used that and this for 20 something levels. Just haven't had the ability to craft anything better, neither one-handed or two-handed. With this piece, level 6, I haven't had the resources or currency to be able to craft on gloves to make something better. These boots, I think I've added maybe one Exalt to, but maybe not. I think these maybe even dropped boots that I got like this. I'm have to kind of recall how I got these. But I know I didn't craft it from scratch. This belt, I added 1 Exalt to, and I got the 2 to 4 thorns, and then I stopped adding Exalts to it because it no longer was interesting. This chest piece, I think I got as a drop. Yeah, I didn't craft this. This was a drop. This ring, I think this ring I alked. I think I alked this ring early on. I think it was my very first alk. And I used it on this ring early, and I got the +2 all attributes and the 5 strength with some extra rarity. And I was just like, okay, I'll just keep this ring. I've had this ring since, again, like level 8 around that point. This one I've had around level 9. I think I regaled this one and maybe left it that way. I think I bought it already rare and then, or no. Was it an Exalt and I bought it rare? I think it was an Exalt, I bought it rare, and it added the cold when I got it. This necklace, I think I alked this necklace, and then added 1 Exalt to, and then this helmet, I think I just, I found this way. This shield I found this way. I haven't done anything to it at all. And the point I have is maybe I've had in 30 levels, I think I've had like 10 Exalts drop. I've had 2 Alks drop, and then maybe like 6 Regals drop. And I will show you. Let me go back to the caravan. I'll show you what my currency currently looks like. Oh. What do you want? Search for, okay, yeah, whatever. So this is my currency currently, right? And this is 30 levels in with what I just told you. I've had like 10 exalted orbs. I've used like 8 of them across like various pieces of gear while I was leveling. A chaos orb. I had 2 alks, and I've had like, I think like 6 or 7 regals in that time. And Jonathan, I remember in the interview, was like, are you not disenchanting your gear and getting a bunch of regal orbs? which I've been doing a little bit of. Like some of the rares I sell when I need money, some of the rares I will disenchant so I can get another Regal Orb. Um, but the problem with Regal Orbs is Regal Orbs just turns an item into a rare from, I think it's either Magic or normal. I forget which one it is, or maybe it's both. But it only adds one modifier. So if I take a normal base item and I hit it with an AUG and then an Orb of Transmutation, and then I regal it, I only have 3, on the rare item, I only have 3 affixes that get populated. And then I have to, if I want the other 3, or even if I want 1 more or 2 more on that item, I have to use Exalts to do that. Or Chaos, which is even rare. We're not even going to talk about that. But I have to use Exalted Orbs. And when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items, and then a secondary weapon, so 11 items, and all of them need Exalted. That's 11 times 6. That's 66 Exalted Orbs to be able to craft one, just to clarify, one level set of gear for a set range of levels. So if, let's say, my set range of levels is from 20 to 30, and I want to craft a set of gear that is better than my 10 to 20 gear for my 20 to 30 range, then I need 66 more Exalts in 20 to 30 to do that. And then I need 66 more Exalts to do a set of 30 to 40 gear, or 40 to 50 gear, or 50 to 60 gear, so on and so forth. So when I get a new piece to upgrade upon or to improve upon, I need 66 more Exalts to be able to take a regaled item to its potential, scale of what it could be, to find out if it's good enough. Same with dealing with like resistances, right? Like if I need to roll resistances and I get a piece of armor and I regal it, I need to roll 3 resistances on it, or attempt to roll 3 resistances on it. I need those Exalted Orbs to do that. There's no way to do it without them. And then even beyond that, if I miss at any point on a piece of gear and I have to retry, so I have to go get another base, another AUG, and then Transmutation, and then Regal, and then 3 more Exalts, that's 66 times whatever amount of attempts I'm trying to do. So you're talking, I need hundreds just to like feel the crafting is actually working. And it doesn't. It really doesn't work. In Jonathan's vision, it's like, I want you to be upgrading, I want you to be swapping out gear, I want you to be finding something new and cool and then crafting on it and making it better while you're leveling and going through the campaign, because he wanted to slow down the game and he wanted to make the game more of a journey, and he wanted you to feel the impact and the weight of the things that you get and the attempts that you craft, so that you may craft on an item and brick it, and so you have to go get another one and you try again, and you go get another one and you try again. Except I don't know if he plays this game or not. It feels like Jonathan has never played Path of Exile 2. Honestly, I think he has a vision and he says, like, this is what I want to experience. But I don't think he's actually playing his own game, because you are sure as hell not getting enough currency at all in this game to be able to feel the ability to do any of that. To, spend currency to put it into items, and then 10 levels later, you expand upon that and actually craft a new set of gear or craft a new item. So another example of that is, this is the total outside of this one and these 2 here, because I've never put any on my armor. Outside of these 3 Artificer Orbs, this is how many Artificer Orbs I've gotten to level 30. So 9 total. And my thing is I don't want to spend them, because they're so rare, on putting, like, some of the artificers on like a chest piece and on a shield piece, only to have this be worse than something I get in 10 more levels, because the gear is not as rare as the currency is. So I have this issue of, like, I want to spend the currency, I want to make my character stronger, I want to use the items here to enhance my character so that I feel like I'm getting stronger over the 30 levels I've played. And mind you, I'm level 30 of 100. Now I know obviously it's a exponential scale, so like level, like halfway to 100 is actually like level 92 or some shit. But what I'm trying to say is, if I'm played a third of the game, I'm going to be on Act 3, right? I've played a third of your campaign, or I've almost beaten the existing campaign, or what will be half of your campaign when the full game is released in 1.0, and the most currency I've gotten is 6 Artificer Orbs, which means that I'm not even going to be able to use them and have more in the back for when I want to upgrade my gear from, level 30 to level 40 or level 50. I'm not going to have the currency to do that, so I'm not going to feel comfortable to do that. So instead I sit on it until I get to a piece of gear where I know it's rolled well, it's on a good base, I've put the right exalts in on it, and it's like the perfect piece of gear that I know is going to last me from like level 40 to level 70 or something, that where I feel confident that I'm not going to have to roll something else to do that. But in saying that, that is literally the antithesis of what Jonathan is claiming he wants out of a video game. He is claiming he wants you to be, rolling and crafting and doing all this stuff regularly. Now, when you get to endgame and you were just grinding out currency and, you're able to manipulate maps to generate more loot, more currency drops, and all that stuff to feed that's a different story. That's the end game. That's where you're capable of doing that with the resources that you actually have, and you're also not upgrading your gear all that often. You're not jumping gear pieces from level 80 to level 100 as fast as you're jumping gear pieces from level 1 to level 60. Like, you're going through a lot of pieces of gear from level 1 to level 60. You're not going through a lot of pieces of gear from level 80 to a level 100. So you're able to slow down and actually collect that currency. But the problem is, from level 1 to level, we call it 60, 70, you're getting nowhere near enough currency drops in Path of Exile 2 currently to be able to craft all the gear that you want to craft in that window of time, which is probably where you should be doing most of your crafting, right? Like, it's where you should be learning the game. You should be learning what affixes, actually exist, what rolls on rings, what rolls on gloves, what rolls on boots. Who knows? I'm not able to roll gear because I don't have the currency to roll gear, so I'm learning by, what's either in the shops or what's dropping. And here's the problem. Jonathan's vision is, oh, hey, you should be crafting and you should be creating these items, but the actual best way to get these items is to just go to the vendor and see if you have a rare, right? So to go here and be like, okay, here's a rare that already has like good enough stats. Now I only need to put in an exalt or two to make this gear piece better. I don't actually pick up a white base and build upon it because I don't have the currency to do that. Same with like boots, right? Like, I can come here. This is, from a currency standpoint, these boots are it's an Aug, a Transmute, a Regal, and 3 Exalts worth of affixes on these pair of boots. Now, are they good? No. Because you don't have move speed, right? So when you look at something like this, you have move speed, you have increased armor and evasion, you have life, you have main stat. Stun threshold's not great because I could use some lightning res. But here's the other part. Speaking of that, when I played Path of Exile 1, and again, this is many years ago, I don't know how much it's changed, I was able to re-roll gear so frequently. Like, I was able to, what was it? It was like null it down to a base and re-roll everything on it, and then null it again if I failed, re-roll if I had, as long as I had the currency, and I could null chance orbit, I could null build it from a transmute, augment up to a rare, and then add Chaos Orbs to it if I wanted to, and then I could keep doing that. Same with flasks. I could re-roll flasks just over and over and over again until I had the right flask kind of affixes that I wanted. But in Path of Exile 2, you can't do that. You can't re-roll flasks. There's no currency to re-roll flasks. There's no way for me to null these boots and start fresh, nor if there was, do I have the currency to actually do that. So it's like, he wants the freedom and currency generation early on of Path of Exile 1, but it's not in this game. Like, it just doesn't exist. And I said I was going to equate this to another game that no one's happy with right now, and that's Last Epoch. When I play Last Epoch, I am crafting gear from like level 5 onward. Like the moment that they explain how the forge works as a new player and they're like, hey, here's the forge, here's a bunch of shards that you've been picking up, here's how you craft, right? Here's how you make a piece of gear. So if you get a piece of gear that has an open suffix and an open prefix, guess what? Roll on it. Craft from level 5. You have the freedom to do whatever the hell you want from level 5. And they throw currency at you. Like, throw it. They dump it on you. Because they know that if while you're experimenting and while you're learning all the different items and all the different pieces of gear, that you're going to be spending that currency. You're going to have to be, spending it and generating it. Now, they're not giving you the best currency. Like, you're not getting, like, the super rare, like, plus mana for a mana stacker, right? Or plus 4 levels to whatever main skill you're using. You're not getting those regularly. But you are getting like the, plus strength or the plus fire res or the plus lightning res. You are getting those options early and often so that you can come in and be like, okay, yeah, I do want to craft some boots, right? And I know I need to, compensate for these resistances that I don't currently have. And currently in Act 2 and what will be Act 3 currently, I have a reduction to all of my resistances because of the act I'm in. I don't know if there's a way to show that somewhere, but in Act 2 I have a negative 10% to my resistances that is applied because I'm in Act 2, and then I'm sure in Act 3 I'm going to take another one, and then in interludes I'm probably going to take another hit, and then in the end game I'm probably going to take another hit where I have to compensate for the negative decrease in my resistances. And the problem is I don't have enough currency to roll the resistances I need. So you can see I have a decent fire and cold, but I have no way to like roll these boots or roll better boots that have fire res and lightning res, or just pure lightning res. Like I could sacrifice a little bit of fire res to bring up my lightning res to get them both to like level, 35% reduction at level 30. I'm not saying I need to be max res at level 30, but at least some way that I can roll lightning res onto these boots would be nice. But there's no way for me to do that, because the only way for me to potentially roll off the stun threshold and get lightning res is to chaos. And I'm not using the one chaos orb I've had on a pair of level 16 boots. Like like they're not good enough to use that kind of currency on. And this just goes back to there's just not enough currency. There's nowhere, and I mean nowhere near enough currency to justify what Jonathan expects a player to do between the levels of 1 to level 80. There's just not. It's not even dropping anywhere near as much, and let alone anything else in here. Oh, and that expands onto, oh, this is really annoying to me. That expands onto skills, because to enhance your skills you need jeweler's orbs. I've had one jeweler's orb, which you can see here on Earthquake, drop in 30 levels, which means for the mass portion of 30 levels so far, I've used the same set of skills that have been maxed out since like level, I think like level 11. I have not needed to do anything in my skills or to enhance them in any way since level 11, because I don't have any jeweler's orbs dropping to make these skills any better than they are. So when I come over here, look at this tab. What is the point of this? Like, this to me just shows like poor game design, and I don't quite understand what the point of this is, because these are just completely useless. Without jeweler's orbs to make me actually expend getting these support gems, I don't need these support gems, because what am I supporting? What am I putting supports into? And if you're like, hey man, you had an open one, that's for Herald of Ash. I can't put anything in there. All my other skills are maxed out except for my basic mace strike stuff, because I'm not using much of this. I'm not using Ray Shield or the two-handed mace strike right now. I just put brutality in here for the benefit of doing a little bit more damage with my main attacks. I could put attack speed here if I wanted to. But I still have, let's say I did that, right? I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3, 9, 10, 11 spare gems that I don't need. So it goes back to like, what what's the plan here? I go back to, again, I go back to Path of Exile 1 when I played it. In Path of Exile 1, by the time I was level 30, I had 4 links on pretty much anything. Chest piece was probably 5 linked. My boots, my gloves, and my helmet were 4 linked. I was getting enough fusions. I was getting enough materials. I was getting enough jeweler's orbs to kind of craft them into the colors I needed, into the links I needed. You know, my weapon was probably 3 linked. My shield was, I don't think you could, I don't remember, was, if you could, was probably linked. And I was probably able to create something unique by level 30, like actually get some power into the build, get some synergies going into the build. In Path of Exile 2, I felt the same power as I did at level 10 as I do now at level 30. Nothing in my build has changed. Literally, how it plays hasn't changed. The power output that it does hasn't changed. The only thing that's affected my power is my Ascendancy, because I added 25% chance to gain aftershocks from my slam attacks. So every time I slam and my shockwave totem slams, it can do. It has 25% chance to do an aftershock. That aftershock then triggers the fissures, or goes off with the fissures, and that damage is felt a little bit. But as far as like in general, the play hasn't changed whatsoever. And that brings me to the next problem with Path of Exile 2, which is, and again, it's just so anti to the vision that Jonathan keeps explaining, which is the way you actually play Path of Exile 2 has nothing to do with crafting in the early levels, has nothing to do with it, you know, making yourself feel like you're actually in control of getting stronger. What people actually do in Path of Exile 2 is they roll a lightning arrow build, and they just get lightning rod, lightning arrow, barrage, and chain, and they spam it. And the way you improve is you take all of these gems and you just keep increasing those 2 skills, and then you add some extra attack speed and some power to it. So you're not actually generating any power from crafting or from getting new cool items or, you know, doing anything that makes you feel like you're in control of it. You're just getting these gem drops and you're dumping them into 2 to 3 skills on lightning arrow, and you're literally just blasting the content until you get to end game, where then you can start actually generating the currency to start actually crafting and feeling like you're in control of your build in the future, or to start grinding out you know, leveling items and items for your actual character that you want to play, which is so terrible. Like, it's just a horrible design where it's like, hey, the right way to play this game is to play one specific type of build, ranged. You want to, you know, melee is god awful. Play ranged and just dump all your power into these 3 like very set abilities, and then just blow through the content. Don't worry about crafting, don't worry about currencies, don't worry about any of that nonsense. It's not important. Just blow through the content using, you know, 2 synergies, 2 skills that synergize together because of how lightning rods and lightning arrow work. And then once you get to the end game, then start playing the actual vision, right? Like the actual content, and then the end game has its own problems. My thing is like, hello, you claim you want the vision to be, you know, the journey and about crafting and creating these items, then why am I not getting the currency to do that? Like, why am I not getting the resources to do that? I want to be swapping out items every 10 levels. And I'm not talking about just my weapon. I'm talking my entire gear set. I want to improve every 10 levels. If I go 2 whole acts, Act 1 and Act 2, and I haven't touched my gear, then your game is not designed well. Especially, and I mean especially, an ARPG. It is terrible. Like, that should never happen. It should never be designed this way. I should be swapping and wanting to craft and create and move gear around the entire time I'm leveling. Going and getting components that I need, or having a crafting table earlier where I can roll off certain stats and roll on other stats. And even in this specific league with the well that can, create desecrated affixes, I've gotten 1, and it's for a rare weapon or quiver, and that is the only one I've gotten in the 30 levels. And then if I have it, I can re-roll the options once, and then I can desecrate a rare armor. So I've gotten 1 armor, 1 weapon, and 1 reroll attempt in 30 levels. That's how much of the campaign, or I'm sorry, not campaign, the seasonal content rolling that I've gotten the capability of doing. And it doesn't make me jump up and down, because again, I'm not going to go spend that on a level 11 mace. I've only gotten 1 in 30 levels. I'm not going to go use that on something that I don't know when I'm actually going to replace it, because the only time I know I'm going to replace this is when it shows up in the shop for gold. Not when I craft it, but when it shows up in the shop for gold, when one of these pops up that's rare, that's a level 28 mace that has these same affixes or better, then I'm just going to buy it for 1200 and put it in this spot. I'm not going to craft it because I don't have the resources to craft it. I'm not going to waste these resources, these 3 resources I've gotten in 30 levels, on an existing item. So, in general, what I'm just trying to say is, I'm 30 levels into Path of Exile 2. I played it at launch. It was terrible. It was one of the worst experiences I've had. It was worse than Diablo 4 at launch. Truly. It was just awful. I've given it some time. I've let Jonathan and Mark cook on this, and I've listened to Jonathan explain what he wants his vision to be. And he wants it to be more like Last Epoch in my mind. He wants it to be you're crafting all the way through the journey. You are getting items, you're getting bases, you're getting content, and then you are going back and you're being like, okay, well, I want to craft up a new weapon, right? Because I got a new white base. Like, perfect example. If this item dropped in the game, not from a shop vendor, but actually dropped, and I went, oh shit, I haven't seen a level 28 base before, let me go use this to create a better mace than my level 11 one and start using some currency to do that. That's what I think he wants the vision to be, right? Is to say, okay, I'm going to take this new thing that I just got for the first time. I saw a level 28 base drop. I want to take it back, and I want to make myself a better weapon than the one I've been using for 20 levels. But then you go back, and you don't have the currency to do it. You literally don't have the resources to do it. And that's 1 of 11 items. That is 1 of anything you find. If I find a level 20 or a level 30 pair of glove base that I've never seen before that has, here's a great example. I actually have a tab. Look at this belt. I want to roll this belt. I don't have the resources to roll this belt. It gives me a plus 118 armor, and I have no way to roll this. These boots, 163 armor compared to my 3630 evasion. I want to roll movement speed on these. I have no resources to do it. These 2 chest pieces have the potential to give me lightning res that I desperately need that I don't have on my existing body armor. I want to try to roll them. I don't have the resources to do it. This helmet gives me a ton of extra armor that I don't currently have on my helmet. And the reason I'm not using it is because I want to see if I can roll some resistances on it before I knock off the cold res here and the rarity items found and the plus 51 life. Like, this gives me plus 51 life, where this only gives me 15 life. Now, I could also try to chaos res off that 15 life, or null this. Like, if this was PoE 1, null it back to a white base and try again, right? Chance orbit, or start again using the standard combo of, like, making it a magic item and then making it a rare item, and then nulling it again, trying again until I get something that's usable for the base that I found. I can't do that. And I have rings. I have rings I want to try, like, that give me a ton of extra fire res. I don't have the resources to roll these. And it's not even I don't have the resources to roll one of these. I have nowhere near enough resources to roll all of these. And if I fail on any of these, I don't have the resources to try again on any of them. So it's like, what am I supposed to do in this game? Like, I'm so bored. Like, here's the end outcome. I am bored. I am more bored than I was in Diablo 4. I am more bored than I ever was in Last Epoch. And I'm not even talking about endgame. I'm not even talking about to where the game probably gets good. And this kind of is not really an issue in Path of Exile 1, truly, because I remember there being enough currency to roll things as you're actually playing the game. But in Path of Exile 2, I've not changed my skills. I've not enhanced my skills outside of one Jeweler's Orb. I have not crafted much armor. I think I've crafted like 4 items. I have not, uh, you know, the things I have found that I want to craft in my leveling journey, I don't have the currency to craft. So I've been using the same setup, the same skills, the same armor for 20 levels. I am bored. I am bored of this content. I am bored of not feeling a power increase. And that goes, okay, let's go even further than that of like how bored I am. Ascendancies. Okay, and I know a lot of people talk about this. The trials to get your first ascendancy points. The Trail of Secamus is the most underwhelming way to get a ascendancy that I've ever experienced in a video game. And Labs was also not that great, but Labs at least was somewhat interesting. But the trials are just... So here's what I would say to Jonathan and Mark. If you are saying, okay, hey, your character, right, the RPG, your character is about to become the enhanced version, the Super Saiyan version of its base, right? So you're just a standard barbarian, but you're now about to become a Titan or a Warbringer or whatever you're going to become, an Acolyte or whatever. And you're becoming enhanced with power. You're going to do it in the most boring way possible. The most soul-sucking and draining way possible. It's not interesting. It's not fun. It's the same two... what's even the word? Like, I don't want to keep saying trials. It's the same two, like, things within the trials. It's that room with the bell that flips over and spawns enemies, and then it's pull a bunch of levers. It is the most uneventful, in sleep-inducing way to be like, okay, you're Super Saiyan now. Why not do something cool? Like, why not make Ascendancies feel like you just did something insane? So here's an example. Here's what I would do. Take, in each act, or in whatever acts you're expected to get your Ascendancy points. So at the end of Act 1, start of Act 2, you get your first 2 points at level, I think you're supposed to get around level 18 to 22 or something in there. So at the end of Act 1, early Act 2. Then, or I guess it's Act 2 because the trials are in Act 2. Early Act 2, you gain access to it. And then again, like either late Act 3, Act 4, and then at different points on the end game. Here's what I would do. Have at different points in your early or late Act 1, early Act 2, that you defeat bosses, and those bosses give you keystones. So the first one would be, or I'm sorry, you know what? I take it back. No, yeah. So your first one would be the End 1, Act 1 boss. So if you beat him, you get one of the 3 keystones you need, right? So you get keystone number 1 for your Ascendancy. Then when you beat the Act 2 end boss, but you fight him early first, like you meet him and then he leaves, and then you go on the whole caravan journey to fight him again. When you fight him that first time and you beat him, you get your second key, and then your third key you get when you beat the Titan guy, right? The slams his little dagger down in the Titan depths, right? You get your third key. Now you can go do your Ascendancy trial. But instead of it being some god-awful, like, labyrinth or trial of Secamus thing, you take those keys, and then you go in and you fight one of the PoE 1 bosses that is scaled down from PoE 1 into PoE 2 as, like, fighting the ancestral gods. And the way that I would, like, have it kind of happen is Sin shows up and he changes his visage to be a boss from PoE 1's Uber bosses, scaled down for someone to fight those old PoE bosses to get their Ascendancy point. And the way that it's explained in the lore is Sin is trying to enhance you using the gods of old, or the bosses of old, to teach you to get better for Path of Exile 2 bosses in the late stages. So let's say the first one, you go in and you fight a scaled down shaper fight where you have to learn the beams, the balls, and whatever. And for people who are familiar with it, and maybe throw in some new mechanics, right? Like, it's fine to throw in some new mechanics, but make it nostalgic for those old fights. And then maybe the next one in Act 3 or Act 4, there's this scaled down fight where Sin turns into Maven. Or in the third one, maybe he scales down and it's Uber Elder. And it's just taking content you already have, but at the end of it, when you beat it, right, for people who maybe never played Path of Exile 1, right, because you're trying to bring in new players in Path of Exile 2, for people who never played Path of Exile 1 and never got to fight those bosses or beat those bosses in Path of Exile 1, for them, they just gained 3 keystones from beating bosses and then went and fought like a uber boss from the old PoE 1 days that they never got to experience, and gained Ascendancy for that, right? It's like, oh, I conquered that thing. I beat those 3 bosses. I beat the uber boss. I got my Ascendancy points. And then again and again and again until they're max Ascendancy. That to me feels like a Super Saiyan moment, right? It's like getting 4 stones in Path of Exile 1, right? Like when you get your 4 stones and you unlock your the Atlas and everything, right? Like, it's a moment where you're like, oh yes, I got my 4 stones. Well, imagine getting 3 keystones and then beating an old Uber boss variant in Path of Exile 2 that makes you feel like you've actually ascended. Your character's ascended. You've done something unique and powerful. Instead, we go through this extremely tedious trial set that is not indicative to how people feel when it's endgame. Even in Path of Exile 1 with Lab, right? Like, Lab is so tedious and annoying and boring, and it's literally a non-factor these days. But what people care about is like when they get 4 stones, or when they, go 7 out of 7, with like the normal bosses before even going to Ubers, or they beat their first Uber, or they beat all the Ubers for the first time. Those are pivotal moments, like peak moments where the player's like, oh, I've done something that has like enhanced my character. And you can give that same feeling at low levels without making the low level process of unlocking these things feel tedious and awful. Yeah, so I just wanted to rant because I'm trying to enjoy this game. I'm trying to kind of understand Jonathan's vision that he keeps talking about, but I don't see it. Like, it makes me really concerned that I don't think he plays this game, because nothing that he's ever said about the vision he has is in this game. And then sprinting, while it's nice to have around the game, it just shows that they really chose the wrong direction for like dodge rolling and the mapping design, where they have to forego movement speed and actually like building your character to be fast by giving you sprint, because everything about the mapping experience and the gameplay experience just is bad. So they've supplemented that with a band-aid fix of just being like, oh, who cares about movement speed? We'll just give you a sprint. It's just, I don't know. I mean, obviously the important part is it's savable. Like, they can fix this. It's not unfixable. This isn't like Path of Exile 2 can't ever be good. You just need, you need to crank up currency rates by like 50,000%. It's not even a small percent, like 50,000%. I need to be running a zone in any zone. So like if I go let's see, if I go like to Bone Pits or something, right? Like if I go here, I don't know why it's not showing me any of the points of interest. But yeah, I mean, if I go run any of these zones, I should leave those zones with like 10s to 20 currency of each currency. Also, can I get nulls back? where I can, you know, reset and try again. I mean, I don't know if that's one of these things I've just never gotten. I mean, it's clearly not any of these. But the ability to like null an item back to its base and try again, like why can't I do that? Why can I not null a flask and try again? It's like we took 5,000 steps backwards with this game, where it just feels awful. Like it doesn't feel engaging, and it's like, we want you to be more engaged. We want the combat to feel more engaged. We want the experience to be more engaged. It's like, but I don't feel that way. I feel bored. I feel bored by the fact my skills don't change or don't get upgraded. I don't get enough jewelers. I don't get links. I don't get colors, and being able to slot in all these various different things that make my abilities change. You know, every level that I go through, I get a new skill and a new ability that I have to relink and change the links on my gear. I'm not doing any of that. There's no thought process to any of that from a crafting standpoint. I can't null and I can't craft my gear. I don't have enough currency to do any of that. I'm bored. Just bored. That is what Path of Exile 2 is. It is boring. It is, honestly, and this would probably be the most damning thing I say right now, it is more boring than Diablo 4. This is more boring than Diablo 4. There's at least crafting I can do in Diablo 4 all the way through the leveling process. I am bored. Out of my mind playing Path of Exile 2. It is not interesting. It is not engaging. The dodge rolling isn't making it engaging. It's the fact that in an ARPG, I'm not doing anything besides going to a vendor and praying that she has a rare item that I can buy with gold. Drops aren't interesting because I can't craft on them. Bases aren't interesting because I can't craft on them. Even if I craft on them, I can't null them to try again. I'm bored. I'm bored. That's my level 30 takeaway as a person returning to Path of Exile and trying to give it another go. Giving Jonathan the benefit of doubt, trying to see Jonathan's vision. I don't see it. I'm bored out of my mind. Thanks, guys.